Here's how I invented the plaid cheesecake crust. First, we were gonna need a lot of stuff, so we went to Trader Joe's. Not only did I want to make a plaid cheesecake, but I wanted to try to make a baklava plaid cheesecake, so there was a lot of stuff to get, oh my god. But I couldn't find the walnuts at Trader Joe's, so we went to the next closest grocery store. Oh yeah. We got shortbread cookies, graham crackers, butter, sugar, more sugar, sour cream, cream cheese, goat cheese, because I like goat cheese, lemon, orange, eggs, honey, more honey, this stuff, more butter, cinnamon, pistachio, walnuts, hazelnuts, almond extract, because that always makes everything better. Okay, and the first thing we start with is the crust, which is what you guys came here to see, but I would really love it if you stayed to watch till the end. And we start by just blending everything up. You can do this by hand too in a bag, but that feels like a lot of work. Once you're done with the shortbread cookie, just do the same thing with the graham crackers. You can really use any graham crackers, but I like these ones from Trader Joe's because they're darker, and that's better for what we're trying to do. Now that you've got your light and your dark, it's time to add the butter. To be honest, I'm not really measuring any of this stuff because I've already made a couple of cheesecakes and I guess I just don't really care. But you want to make sure that the cookie crumbs feel like wet sand by the time you're done adding butter to it. Almost. There we go. Now you just want to scoop that out and split that 50-50 between two bowls. Then, just do the same thing with the graham cracker. Perfect. Then, you just scoop half of that into one of your bowls with the shortbread cookie crumbs, and that's how you make your mid-tone. Looks good. Now, just dump all that crap right onto the table. Next, you're going to want to separate them into 3 piles, but make sure you have enough room somewhere on the counter for your cheesecake springform pan. Then, you want to segment these piles into little squares. You can use a ruler or whatever really fits the shape. I like to go lightly with the ruler first so I get an idea of where I want to make the cuts, and then I go in with this thing, whatever this chopper thing is, and I cut it up. But you can use a knife too. Now it's time for the tedious part, so put something good on TV or find a podcast or something, because this is going to take a while. For your first row, you want to alternate dark and mid, going around the inside of the pan, and every now and then kind of squeeze them together to make sure that they're really packed in there. Then, for your second row, you want to alternate light and mid, and have the entire second row shifted so that the mid-tone squares sit right on top of the dark ones, and the light ones sit right on top of the mids. You'll also notice that the dark squares and the light squares are only in every other row, while the mid-tone squares are in every single row. So you'll need to have twice as much mid-tone crumbs as you do the light or the dark. And you just keep doing this, alternating between a dark and mid-row and a light mid-row until it reaches the top of the pan. And here, I'm just using a flexible piece of plastic that I cut out of the graham cracker box to sort of flatten the inside and make it all nice and neat. Now, just fill in the bottom of the pan. You can use any tone for this since you're not really going to see it anyways. And there you have the plaid crust. Now it's time to make that cheesecake filling. Most normal recipes will just have you use cream cheese, but I like to use goat cheese too sometimes. Plus, I think it'll go good with the baklava. Then we'll add the sour cream. Maybe just a little more. Add just a little bit of lemon juice. And like me, you definitely want to taste test a bunch of this throughout the process so that you know if you need to add more sugar, or goat cheese, or cream cheese, or whatever. Just make sure it tastes good. But there's obviously a ton of recipes online too if you want to do this part by the book. More sugar, more stirring, more taste testing, more cream cheese, more sugar again, even more sugar. Wow, what am I doing? This is my first time using orange extract, but it was part of the baklava recipe, so I thought it'd be good in the cheesecake. And then almond extract is just good to use for anything you're making, ever. It's the best. And now we add in some eggs. And then we just let that stir for a little bit. You do want to make sure not to over stir it though, because I think then oxygen gets into it, and then that messes up how it bakes and it gets a lot of bubbles. So just keep an eye on it. If it looks good and it tastes good, you're probably good. And this looks and tastes good, so we're gonna call it done. Now we're on to the baklava portion of our cheesecake. We're gonna take the pistachios, the hazelnuts, and the walnuts and blend them all up together. Go ahead and throw all that in a mixing bowl, and we're gonna add in some stuff to make it more baklava-y, like cinnamon. And a little orange juice. And some honey, of course. And cinnamon sugar. And white shimmer sugar. I love this stuff. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, go ahead and set that aside and grab your puff pastry dough. Now, if you're making actual baklava, you're gonna wanna use something called phyllo dough, but this will be just fine for what we're doing. Now go ahead and butter that up. I like to leave these little spots of butter before I put the next layer on, so that it creates these nice buttery air pockets after it bakes. And of course, baklava isn't baklava without honey, so we're gonna get plenty of that on there before we add in our filling. Then, we're just gonna cover this up with another buttery layer of our puff pastry. Now, I've never really made something like this before with puff pastry, so we're just gonna cross our fingers and hope it looks good when it's done. Go ahead and put that in the oven at 350, and the box says to give it 10 to 12 minutes. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, that looks pretty good, I think. And now for the fun part. We're gonna insert this baklava into our cheesecake before we add the batter. And we're gonna start by cutting out the perfect size circle. Oh yeah. That tastes pretty good, but I don't think it's quite as sweet as baklava usually is, so I'm gonna add a little more honey into the base of the cheesecake. Perfect. Now let's get this fucking thing in there. Easy, easy. Yes. Okay, now we can get back to our cheesecake filling. Go ahead and just fill that right up to the top. Nice. Looks good.
Wow.
Okay, now we're gonna get this in the oven, also at 350. Usually you would bake a cheesecake for about an hour, but since that baklava layer is taking up so much room, we actually have about half the cheesecake we normally would, so we're just gonna bake it for 30 minutes. And I think that worked out pretty well. But as much as I'd love to stare at it, we're gonna put that in the fridge and let that cool for a little bit. And while that's cooling, we're gonna prepare the topping for our cheesecake. So we're gonna take some of that extra cheesecake batter we made, because you should always make extra cheesecake batter, and we're gonna add in some honey. Now, this is just gonna end up being a thin glaze on top of the cheesecake, and we're only gonna use a little bit of this, so we don't mind using a lot of honey so we can get the color right. I also added in some cinnamon sugar, and now we're gonna add in dark brown sugar, because we want this to be even darker. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, we'll set that aside for now. Back to the cheesecake. I do have a lot more of that baklava mixture, so we're gonna use that as a decoration on top of the cheesecake. And we wanna make a ring that goes around the outer rim. And for that, we're gonna need to find the right shape. I think this microphone stand should work. And don't worry, I cleaned it off first. And now we just carefully line this around the microphone stand. Let's get this out of here. Nice. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing again, but for the glaze that we made, so this time we're gonna need to find a slightly smaller circle, but I think this mug should work. Easy, easy, nice. Then we'll just quickly fix these little imperfections. And we are done! And folks, there you have a plaid crust baklava cheesecake. All that's left now is to cut it open and enjoy. Oh, that looks good. Oh, that is good. But what's better than a plaid baklava cheesecake? Mini plaid baklava cheesecakes. Thanks for watching, people. And if you liked that video, consider hitting that like button. Didn't like the video? Let me know by subscribing. All right. Adios.